Operation North Pole is amazing.
Operation North Pole is a magical gift to a child and a family that is dealing with a life-threatening illness.
Operation North Pole is just the most outstanding thing I think I've done in 24 years being involved in the fire service.
When you have a child with medical issues, your lows are extra low. Operation North Pole gives you a high that's extra high.
What I understood is that we were going to be on a train, and it was going to be like Polar Express.
We thought we were coming in just for a ride on the train, and you know, we knew that Santa was going to be there in the very end, but we had no concept of what was really going to unfold that day.
I would describe it as a group of people who want to provide a day of fantasy, a day of relief and pleasure for families that don't get to experience it much because of the diagnosis that their children have had.
Their ordinary is different than ours, where in and out of hospitals, going to specialists, they don't know what's going to work, trying different treatments, and just seeing that in their face and then seeing them smile.
Well, when you have a child with special needs and then you throw cancer on top of it, any day to get away from it all is worth it. If it just gives us one day to escape from the fact that our child has cancer, that's the best day you could ever have in your life.
Yeah.
The kids arrive in the morning and they have a wonderful breakfast. They put them on chartered buses and take them to the train station where they get on the Polar Express.
This is the Polar Express! All aboard!
This Polar Express was nothing but magic.
The train started pulling out and there were so many people at that station. I'm sorry. Cheering us on. The applause, the claps, the engines, the fire engines blowing their horns. I felt personally just so special and so loved in that moment.
It was so funny, like every stop, somebody new was getting on and somebody new was coming down the aisles with some new thing for the kids. You know, goodie bags from the fire department, stockings, hats, stuffed animals, lunch, like every single stop was something new.
When we were coming back to see everybody waving and holding up signs saying that way to the North Pole just helped the kids to realize that they were going somewhere special.
It was just overwhelming. Unbelievable experience, you know, and then when we did arrive back to the train station and Santa Claus was there waiting for us when we got off the train, climbed into a big fire truck and led the way back. And my son still talks about how Santa Claus was in the fire truck, so it was just amazing.
When we arrived at the North Pole, there isn't any way to tell somebody what it was like to have the buses pull up and there were probably, I don't know, 100 people outside, all dressed up and all like cheering just to welcome the kids into the building.
It has to be how people feel when they come back from a vacation and they have a brand new house. I mean, it was too much.
The first thing that she saw was all the firefighters down on their knees, clapping for these kids. She turned around to me and she said, "Mom, look at what they're doing for me." And she may not have believed that we were in the North Pole, but she believed that we'd arrived.
And then when we entered the North Pole and this place had been transformed.
And then it was a huge party. It was magicians and it was cookie decorating and nail painting and tattoos and photo booths and just all kinds of different stuff going on.
Nate is always ready for a party. And this was probably the biggest party he's ever been to. And he just ran around and introduced himself to anybody and everybody, and the kids smiled all day long. He never sat down. He never tired out.
It actually meant so much because I've seen him suffer the second time around, and just to have him, he had this look where he was just so excited. Knowing he was going to go to North Pole, he had this anticipation. By the time he got there, I couldn't keep track of him. I had to constantly watch him because he was running in and out, darting. He goes, oh, I hear they're making cookies. I'm going to go make cookies.
When we walked back into Santa's room, Nathan, his mouth dropped open. He started running towards Santa and threw his arms around him. And like he was the best thing that ever happened to him in the whole wide world.
Santa was wonderful. First of all, that was really Santa.
Daniel, anticipating a gift. Daniel would be happy with a red balloon. He doesn't ask for much. So to see his face light up when we went to see Santa Claus was just nice to see him smile. Because he hasn't. He hadn't in a while. And then on top of it, when we got the gifts, they were as big as the bag that Santa comes down the chimney with.
The organizers had sent us emails saying to, make sure you have room in your car, that, you'd be coming home with gifts. And so I was like, okay, we have a Honda Odyssey. It's a pretty big vehicle. We could barely fit everything in there. It was presents for 3 kids. And it wasn't just like a few little gifts. It was piles of presents. All of them wrapped and all of them hand-selected for each of the kids.
And when the firemen carried those presents out to our car, I was floored.
I didn't allow her to open those gifts until it was Christmas, because we weren't going to be home for Christmas. And because we couldn't be with the rest of my family, it was just her and I. My husband was at home, my sons are at home. It was going to be her and I in the hospital. So we kept those gifts. And that's the gifts that she opened on Christmas morning. And those were the only gifts she opened Christmas morning.
Operation North Pole gives what nobody else could really give to that child, a day of absolute magic and wonder and phenomenon that no child could ever ask for or dream that would ever happen to them. Operation North Pole is just pure magic.
Thank you, Operation North Pole.
Thank you, Operation North Pole. Operation North Pole is awesome.
Operation North Pole is amazing.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.